be some live coding, and I can't do it from up here. So Puck originally was pretty much just something to scratch an itch that we had at Measured. Measured as a consultancy I run with Scott, who's over there in the grey t-shirt. He's come down from London just to support me. I live in Lewes, so I haven't really come very far. We do a lot of React work. We've been doing a lot of UI work for many years, a lot of design systems, a lot of content systems. One of the problems we've always found is, especially in a world where we're moving towards headless CMSs, you kind of end up in this situation where content teams need to ask developers every single time they want to get anything changed. This is really expensive. It's really annoying. We've been on the market a long time for a tool that's good for this, especially for our clients. We haven't really found anything. We've built proprietary solutions for our clients, but eventually we decided to actually just try and build something for ourselves. We've been working on it this summer. We launched about a month ago, and we're going to run you through what Puck looks like, how to set it up, and give you a little bit of the story. The last month's been fun, so I'll try and go into that. Cool. This is Puck. I don't actually need to zoom because it's a massive projector. Awesome. So this is Puck. So this is a page here built with Puck. So everything you see around the edge is the Chrome. Everything you see in the middle is the page. And as I'm hovering over, you can see the little hover state. I can kind of like click and drag stuff, move it around. I can click into something and I can say, hello, async. So I'm just going to hit publish, view page. It's updated my page. So that's pretty cool, but that's what you would expect from a standard visual editor, sort of drag and drop page builder. Where things get really cool. So this is a demo application. Puck itself is actually just a React component. This is a demo application, a Next.js application running Puck. So if I go back to my example page and I put in hello async Brighton 404. Let's put edit on the end. It's spun up a new page. So now let's drag some stuff in, start building a page. Let's get heading, text. Let's also say hello again, async, because that's about as creative as I can be. Publish, view page again. Hey, page is there. So you can pretty much go to the way this particular Next.js app is configured, you can go to any URL on your application, put edit on the end, spin up a page, using your own components. So all of these components here are components, they're just demo components that we built for the purposes of demoing Puck. You can create your own configuration for Puck. If you know React, it's pretty straightforward. So you could do something with Material UI, Ant Design, ShadCN, if that's your vibe, whatever you want. And that's really key for us because we wanted to use it for our clients who have their own component libraries. We can't just go and bring in something like Material or anything like that. One of the newest features in here, I've already kind of demoed, which I didn't mean to, but is in this thing here, columns. So last week, actually no, this week, I think on Tuesday, we put out v0.8. v0.8 has a feature called drop zones. So drop zones allow you to embed a little droppable zone within any of your components. So you can create these little hot areas and multi-column layouts. So if I go back to, let's go back to this page, and let's just drag in this component from the left, columns. I'm going to drag that in down here. So my columns component, which I haven't got the code up for now, but I'll show you a bit later, it's just a div with 2 drop zones in. And I can just, it's obviously got some CSS to handle the arrangement of things. And I can just add some more columns, and then I can start to build my UI, just dragging stuff in, just duplicate stuff around. Maybe I want a card in here. So on the right-hand side as well, I showed off the text field earlier. So other types of fields, we have the text area. Also got this select field. And this is actually called radio, which maybe we should rename, but it is basically a radio. So, like I said, we've been working on this for the summer, mainly to scratch an itch. About 3 weeks ago, at the start of September, we decided we were going to do a launch. We had this article we've been working on for a little while to put on LinkedIn, posted the article. Then I thought, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, clear my head, come back. When I got back, I thought, oh, Hacker News. Hadn't thought about Hacker News. So I posted it on Hacker News. We hit the front page. Am I actually amplified in here, or is it just for streamers? Yeah, cool. It's amazing. I just can't hear it. It sounds like the voice in my head. Anyway, so my aha moment, which just got taken over by dud batteries. So we went from 8 stars up to about 1,200, 1,300 in about 24 hours. We're now on. It's been about 3 weeks since then. We're now on about 3,500. So clearly, it resonated with people. Simon Willison, who's the co-creator of Django, a bit of an industry legend, picked it up and was very complimentary, which was just awesome to have that feedback. This is my favorite one. I don't want notifications. So this is Mr. Vercel himself, Next.js creator, picked it up, tweeted it out, and just the tweet alone got 1,500 likes. So I know they're kind of vanity metrics, but it was really validating for us after working on this problem for such a long time with our clients. And then, it's been quite a long summer putting this together. So that was awesome. So can I have a quick look at the code base before I actually get into some more actual code? So this is the measured co puck repo. Scroll down to the actual to the source. So self-hosted drag and drop visual editor for React. Like I said, this is essentially a React component. So at its core, puck, you can see here, it's just imported from the measured puck repo, and you can just render it anywhere within your application. You can pass it a config, which I've defined up here. This config has this components key. In this scenario, I'm saying I want a heading block. And this is how my heading block renders. It's just a standard render function with an H1. And I'm saying that the children prop, so fields and the props are intrinsically linked. Children should render with a text field. And that'll be enough to get you a heading block on the left-hand side. You'll be able to drag it in. And then on the right-hand side, once you click your heading block, you'll be able to input text. And that'll get passed straight through. In this scenario, I'm also specifying some initial data. So if you go to edit a page you've already saved or published, you'll pass in your data. You can also have templates. If you want to use templates, you can have some like preset initial data. It's kind of up to you. So Puck doesn't have a database because it is essentially just a React component. So when you hit the publish button, it's up to you how you want to save your data. That means you can save it in your own database, on your own infrastructure, which is important again for our clients because they don't want to be putting their data into third-party solutions. They want to try and keep it in their existing infrastructure. So once you do that, you hit publish, you save it to your database. You can render your actual page using the Puck renderer. It's called render, pass it the same config, and your data. If you want to do anything in between, you can. The data is just JSON, so it's quite easy to pass. You can modify it if you need, whatever you need to do. Install the package. I'm not going to just talk through the README because that'll be boring. At measured puck, just Just ingrain it in your minds, please. We also have a generator. So the generator is good if you want to spin up something like the demo application that I saw. The root handling, where you have /edit on the end of the URL, is actually just a way of using the Next.js catch-all router. So if anyone uses Next.js, it's not a Puck-specific thing. That you get for free when you use the generator. Maybe we'll try and bundle that up as a package at some point. Currently, the generator will ask you which recipe you want to run. The only recipe we have is Next.js. We'll probably add more. I also know there are some people interested in taking this beyond React, which is quite interesting, but we're not there yet. Plugins is quite fun. So plugins is essentially an API that we have to extend Puck beyond the core functionality. So I'm going to jump. It's a good time to jump back to here. So you will have seen on the right-hand side this heading outline. So this is generated by our only official plugin, the Heading Analyzer plugin. And you'll see here your document outline is specified by your headings and where they are on the page. I can click any of these, and it will scroll down to that H1, to that particular heading. If I break my document order, it'll then warn me H1's missing. I built this because at the time, it was a pain point for one of our clients. They're asking how can we figure out whether or not we're missing H1s on a page. It's such a common problem. And yeah, I kind of thought, well, actually, we can solve that with Puck. It's quite an easy problem to solve at this level. You can even imagine extending this plugin so it blocks you from publishing if you have an invalid structure, which is really important for accessibility and SEO and everything like that. But this plugin API allows anyone to build plugins on top of Puck to do all sorts of other stuff that they might want to do, maybe some segmentation. You could have something to do A/B testing. There's a whole bunch of other things that we've been thinking of and that we might work on in the future as well. You can also render custom fields. So if you want to create like a markdown renderer, we might actually end up doing a markdown renderer, but any other kind of field or input that you need, you can use this API, create that. And then drop zones, I mentioned earlier, drop zones are just a component you can put anywhere within your component to kind of make it hot. And then you can start dragging components into that. Custom route entry points, I'm not going to go into that. There are some rules on drop zones, which are worth familiarizing yourself if you're going to get into that. You can't drag out of a drop zone into its parent because that's just really hard to handle all of the animations for. I know that Xavier really wants me to solve that problem, which we're looking at, but it's difficult. And then there's a reference down here. We haven't got a website yet. The logo at the front is actually the first time we've ever showcased our logo. So sneak peek for you guys. And I don't know how long I've been going, but because Jan yesterday told me that instead of the 10 minutes I thought I had, it was closer to 45 minutes to an hour, I decided I would try and do some live coding and actually try and use Puck to build something new. But as I go through it, I'll probably pause now, see if anyone's got any questions. And as I go through it, if you've got any questions, just let me know. So does anyone have any questions so far? Hey.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
I think the only question really I have is the edit route. What if you have an edit page?
You can name it whatever you want. So that's, it's not part of the Puck core. It's part of the demo application and the generated application. It's the way we suggest using Puck. So you can change /edit to something else. You can also put Puck anywhere within your application. You could put edit at the front of your URL. You could put /Puck. Because Puck's just a component, we don't really care how you set it up. It's just the generated application has a suggested way of doing it. Cool. Anyone else?
Just a quick one. With the render component, is there any bottlenecks or performance overheads to rendering that, or is it pretty straightforward?
It's relatively straightforward. I think probably the only cost is in inferring context. So because of the way drop zones work, they kind of pass context in between the drop zones, React context in between the drop zones in order to get the necessary information to those target components. Render also has to run that context in order to figure out that drop zones exist within things. But if you end up statically rendering it, you can just render from markup. You don't necessarily need to run React every single time. Anyone else? Oh, hey, over there, hiding in the back.
Are we on? Cool. Right. So you might get into this. First question, the sort of publishing. Can you publish into Git, so have it in the repo?
You could do. The publish is just, if I go back to that, we provide an onPublish callback. So you can put whatever you want inside your save. I think we'll probably end up making a more fully featured recipe. So next, currently, it saves to a JSON database, which is just a JSON file. Call it a database. It's literally a JSON file, just to kind of show like the minimum viable use case. But you could do you could do gist if you want. You could do pretty much anything. We might do a more feature complete recipe that maybe would publish to Vercel and set up stuff like a KV store or something like that with Vercel. So you could do a one-click publish to Vercel from the recipe, but you could also create a gist recipe. Does that answer?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the reason being, I can't remember what it's called now, but Netlify CMS, fan of that, and that basis, there's no database. Everything's committed to Git, which I always found a nice sort of portable feature. But then so when you edit, there's no sitting around loading components and everything kind of fetching from the database. Is that next doing sort of server-side rendering on that JSON data, or what's sort of maybe you were going to look anyway, what's the magic behind it being so quick?
That's a good question. So I have demoed it to a client as well, and they asked the same question. The reality is it's not a real application. This is loading out of session storage. So the data in this demo is stored in the session, browser session, and that's because we don't want people going in and putting all kinds of profanity in the publicly hosted website. So we thought we'll just put the database in their browser. Next, we'll be doing some, I don't know if I refresh that, it's definitely doing some server rendering, I think on the Chrome, but the preview window, I think is getting client rendered. But I think either way, it's, again, you get a JSON blob. So if you want to store that on the server, you can configure your application to render in a way that front loads it on the CDN, however you want to load it. Cool.
I had a question about so when you have custom components, ones that you've defined with their own drop zones and whatever you need, are they stored in the JSON just by their name? And if you were to rename them or remove them, how do you handle that?
Excellent question. One we also got on Hacker News, which is fun because it's scary to reply to people on Hacker News. So we have a proposal issue for dealing with that. Yes, so in answer to your first question, yes, we store things by by the name that you put in. So heading block in that example, that's record, no, don't do that. Heading block here will be when you actually get your data. I don't know if I actually have an example. That might be nice to add. You'll get your data JSON object, which will have one of those keys will be content, and type, the value of type will be heading block, and then props will be the props that are passed to that to that component. If you want to do a rename, there is a proposal that we have for transformers, data transformers, which will essentially allow you to do migrations. So you'll be able to specify the component that was named heading block is now named heading, and then you can get it to run. A transformer could be run on the fly, like when you're rendering puck, and it essentially walks over the data, changes the shape, places it into puck. Or you could use that same transformer to migrate all of your data from your backend. So you kind of, again, it's almost a user land problem that we know exists, so we'll try and build stuff to help. But your data is going to be stored in a place that, yeah, makes sense for you. So it's kind of up to you to migrate it.
Cool, thanks.
Awesome. Anyone else? Good, because I'm starting to worry about how long I've got left now. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to try and recreate the ASYNC website with Puck. I'm just going to try and do as much of the homepage as I can in the time that I have. Hey, there's the logo that Jan generated for us. Cool. So time for item. So I'm going to use the generator. So I'm going to go yarn. I use yarn. You don't have to use yarn. You could app. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm just going to install that. Let it do its thing. Hopefully the Wi-Fi stays. I'm going to say async demo. Next. Yeah, so that's the point. If we have more recipes, you'll be able to specify I want a different recipe. I don't want to run next. I want to do React app, maybe remix. So we're going to let this do its thing. Cool. So async demo. Cool. Okay. I'm going to make one tiny change in that because I want to run the Canary release rather than the latest release because I made some changes today that haven't been released yet. Yes, I trust the authors. I am the author. It makes me laugh every time I accept that. Okay, measure puck. So I'm going to go 0.9 at Canary. And I also learned today that if you leave the little hat in there when you're doing a Canary release, it doesn't choose the latest Canary release. That's just a good tip for people. So, it's the one with all numbers. Yeah, it's the one with all numbers. Okay, cool. So if I now do yarn dev, nice. Let's go to not to that. Let's just minimize that so I don't do that again. Let's go to Chrome, which I've now lost somewhere in the nether of Windows. The QR code will take you to the buttery, but that's going to be at the end. I'm actually going to just take that out full screen so I can flip back into it. Okay, so this is what we have. This is our application. So this is localhost 3000. This is Next.js. This is what you get when you set up the when you use the generator. It's an unstyled, relatively basic application. We put in this default page because otherwise people were using this and 404ing, and I'm wondering why they 404. So this is the default page. We might make it prettier at some point, but let's put edit on the end, and there we go. We've got Puck. I'm going to delete that empty page, publish. Okay, we've got that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be creating React components and also trying to get them into Puck in a very short little window. First thing I'm going to do is take the CSS. Try not to hit the microphone on the table. New tab. Thank you. So, okay, maybe I should quickly run through what we have in this application. So it's a Next.js 13 application. It's pretty vanilla. We've put in this path catch-all route, which I'm not going to go into now because it'll take too long. But that is essentially how we resolve the /edit on the end. You can poke around with that if you want. So you could rename it as well. There's a little API layer, which is just writing to database.json, which you can see here. There's our JSON at the bottom, sorry, at the top. And we have this Puck config TSX. Doesn't need to live here. That's just where we put it in the generator. In this Puck config, you can see pretty much what we had in the README. So I'm now going to start pulling this apart and putting async stuff into it. But before I do that, let's paste in the styles I just copied, shove them in here, and and then we'll go back to our application. Got some errors because there's images there that don't exist. I am actually just going to get those images now. So again, Next.js standard stuff. Okay, public directory, public/image, put it at the root. I'm going to go back to async, and I'm going to inspect this thing here. I'm going to, no, maybe I'll get it from network image. There we go, hero, got you. And then I think reveal you in Finder. I hope this is more exciting than it feels. Okay, I'm going to call that hero. We're going to refresh that. And that didn't do anything. Am I missing anything? Hero.jpg, CSS. I'm going to just comment that out for now. Oh, no, I know what it is. Public. There we go. Thank you. Heard voices in the background. Lanyards. The dot. Shall I? Oh, yeah. Is it in here? It's not being loaded. I'm just going to comment that out for now. We don't need that. Okay, cool. No more errors. That's good. So let's just start top down and pull it apart. So I'm going to start with the header up here, which has the class in it. Do you need me to zoom in, or is it okay? That's fine. Cool. So it says the guy at the front. You can zoom it a little. Yeah, all right. I'll do. Oh, no, that's rearranged. That's okay. So I've copied the markup out of the inspector. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to gut this, and I'm going to say masthead. We actually don't want any fields for this. TypeScript's complaining because I'm tightly typing the stuff, not masthead. So we're passing in, this is our prop shape. We're passing it into config. Config then is the pup config. And it knows that title doesn't exist here, so it's passing that into the render function there. So I'm going to get rid of all of that. I'm going to paste that in. We're getting errors now because class is not valid JSX. So I'm just going to quickly do that and say class name. Cool. And then we also need to close off these. Okay. And then we go back here. Yeah, cool. Okay, yeah. So this is one of the, this is a slight, this consequence of how Puck works. So Puck doesn't iframe things. Puck keeps everything in the same page. This header is using position fixed. So for this to work in Puck, this is a slight change we're going to have to make. So mast head position fixed. Let's get rid of you. Cool. Now it's in the right place. So there we go. We have that in there. Cool. It's a great tip. Would you like to submit a PR? We do actually have some contributors in here. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to, let's get that image in. I think we're missing that. Open image in new tab. Yeah, okay, let's pull you down into Finder. Give you a refresh. Oh, I didn't save. Hey, cool, okay. So we've got our header. Let's go next one. This hero-y thing. Hero, there we go. We'll do the same thing again. Copy. Let's go into our puck config. It's going to collapse down the masthead so we don't have to look at that. And we'll go hero, render. Let's assume null and deal with the type. hero. Cool. Paste that in, do the same again. So obviously, ordinarily, you probably would already have React components, but I didn't have any handy. And also, this felt quite fun. So let's go back. I'm actually going to start losing myself in tabs. So I'm just going to close a bunch of these. Yeah, cool. Okay. Hey, cool. So starting to get there. But let's actually make some of these fields dynamic. So we're going to take this and we're going to call it title. So I'm going to specify a title prop. I'm going to make it a string. And I'm going to say fields title type. And then we can choose one of our types. For this, I'm going to use text. Title will come through as a prop. We can pass it in here. So what you could do here is you could put welcome to async, your default text here. Problem is, if you do that, then Puck doesn't know what your default value is. So we have a field called default props. We'll specify title here. And that's not what I want. Welcome to async. So I'm actually just going to delete you. I'm going to refresh the page. Yeah, delete you. Welcome to async. Brighton. Hey, cool. Okay, I'm also going to add one for this description below quickly. Let's just do the same. Description. Oh, apparently not. Just copy the over. Description. Hey, look at the time. It's only 26 minutes past. I've got ages. Okay, so this is interesting because if you look here, there's italics. So to do that, I think maybe I just won't do that. We could do Markdown, but I don't have time to build a Markdown renderer. But we could do dangerously set in our HTML, but I think you could also kind of imagine how that might work. So I'm going to paste this in here and forget about it. Description, and we'll just lose the italics for now. Cool. So yeah, so interestingly, you'll see this hasn't actually got the default props in. That's because I pulled this component in before I specified default props. So for that to actually render properly, let's just pull it in. That's the wrong one. Pull that in again. No, I didn't save my file either. Let's give that another go. Hero. There we go. I actually want that to be a text area because that's too small. Cool. We can keep going. Let's make this a bit bigger. Yeah, let's do this bit and then we'll see how we're doing for questions and time. So this bit gets interesting because with this wrapper, so we've done the masthead, the hero, and we have this container, but this container's got a bunch of stuff in it. So this is probably the first time I actually have to use drop zones, which is fun. So I'm going to make a container component, and then we'll build a module. So let's minimize our hero. Let's do the type first this time, container. Okay, we need to go container. Thank you, autocomplete. And I just do it inline. I didn't do a return on the others. Why am I doing it now? Let's just do the same again. I also normally copy and paste this. Div class container. Okay, I can type that. Class name equals container. Okay, so if I now render that, we'll just refresh that. Again, there's a bug, which means I have to refresh. There's nothing there because it's just a flat empty div. However, let's put in drop zone, and I'm going to let the autocomplete pull that out of puck. We're going to say zone equals content. So that key there is unique within the instance of the component on the page. So every single time we drop a container, each drop zone will get a new ID, which will be the combination of the ID of that particular container and the zone ID. So this could be the same. We could have a content drop zone inside our hero if we wanted. It wouldn't matter. They wouldn't clash. But within the same drop zone, if I had two drop zones in the same component, they would clash. For now, I'm just going to have one. Save that. I probably don't need to refresh so much, but it's slightly compulsive. But hey, okay, cool. That looks like it's a container. Let's do the next one. Let's specify, what's this thing called? Module. Let's do a module. And then I think I'm going to take any questions. Module. Class name. Let's make this title module, title string. Let's do body string. Fields, title, type, text, body, text area, default props, title, about, body. And I am not going to worry about the multiple paragraphs or any of that stuff. Again, you could use Markdown. You could build a Markdown renderer if you wanted to do that. But for the purposes of this demo, that's just way too complicated. So body, which I also need to pass into here. So, okay, I haven't saved that. Let's see, module, in you go, there's our drop zone. Well, hey, publish. We can also, you get these little helper actions here, we can duplicate that. Maybe we should actually take this copy from here and just show that in there. Awesome, I'm going to pause there, see if anyone has any questions.